I'm James Andrews Howell. I'm faculty in the Department of Veterinary and Biomedical Sciences, and I oversee our undergraduate programs in toxicology and immunology and infectious disease. The students who are interested in our program in toxicology are students who are interested in the relevance of chemicals, broadly defined, to human health. And I should say right away that it would be fair for us to have called the program Toxicology and Pharmacology. It turns out that there's sort of three legs to the tripod. So what we call toxicology and what we call pharmacology depend on whether you're studying a toxin, a poison, or a drug. And it's important to understand that whether we call it a drug or a toxin depends on whether it's good for you or bad for you, right? And whether or not it's good for you or bad for you is dependent upon dose. And the relationship between dose and physiological, biological response, that's a definition of both toxicology and pharmacology, right? So there's a dose of water that's lethal, and there's a dose of plutonium that's safe, right? And if you think about a drug like, let's say, aspirin, right? There's a dose where nothing happens. There's a dose that's baby bear, right? Not too little and not too much, that makes your headache get better. And then there's a dose that makes you sick or even can be lethal, right? So these analyses are all the same. Now, you can extend this, right? So if you think about small exogenous molecules, small molecules that come from outside of your body, you can, if that's the definition of the thing you're studying, then that also includes micronutrients, right? Like minerals and vitamins. So the three legs of the tripod are toxicology, pharmacology, and nutrition. Those all sort of go together. And so students who are interested in how diet can affect health, or students who are interested in how drugs can affect health, or how toxins affect health, those are the students that come into toxicology. The connections between agricultural sciences broadly and toxicology aren't necessarily obvious to students, but they're very important. So a lot of these molecules, these small molecules that can affect human health, obviously can come in through the food supply, right? So, we think of environmental pollutants that end up in crops or end up in animals that we use for food. That's a pretty direct connection. But also don't forget about the environmental contamination of pharmaceuticals, right? There's been a lot of attention in the media lately about pharmaceuticals in the water because they pass through people's bladders and go into the water supply, but also people throw them away and they end up in the water supply. So there's a significant question about how that's affecting human health. And of course, when we talk about micronutrients, minerals in the soil that end up in food, either in amounts that are too high or too low, that's another direct connection to agriculture. Students that are interested in studying toxicology come in with strong backgrounds in science. This is a science major, and it's a fairly difficult major. So it's for students who have strong science backgrounds and strong interest in science, students who aren't intimidated by mathematics, and students who want to make the connection between molecular and cellular sciences and human health. Well, in toxicology, there are sort of two groups of graduates. There are students that go on to professional studies, either in medical school or in PhD programs to pursue a research career, although we're having more students who are going into public health kinds of training for that sort of career too. And on the other hand, there are students who are going directly into industry, because there is such a demand on the part of biotech companies, particularly pharmaceutical companies, for students who, after 4 years of a bachelor's degree, have a little bit of specialization in toxicology and pharmacology. So there's a huge demand for that. For students who are pursuing all of these career options, though, it's very important for them, while they're getting the toxicology degree at Penn State, to pursue opportunities in research experience. Because no matter what career path you take, whether it's medicine or research, or even if it's a job in industry, even if it's working on the regulatory side or the marketing and strategy side, it's very important for students to understand how those molecules that your company is putting into the pills work in patients. And it's difficult to really get an appreciation for how that process works of bringing a drug to market unless a student has been in a laboratory getting significant research experience.